Hall with the Cornerstone Collective, and we are here today with a guest that I've known for, gosh, going on a year now personally, and we've just had a lot of fun getting to know each other and working together. Stacy Garcia, and Stacy Garcia is a household name in the design world, so a lot of you probably know the name. And today we are bringing her to you to learn about her career, her products, her entrepreneurial journey, and the woman behind the magic. So, Stacy, welcome, and would love for you to tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself and your companies.
Thanks, Susie. I'm so excited to be able to be here and meet you again, even if it's via Zoom in these crazy times, and to have the opportunity to connect with all of the people in your network out there. So, as you said, I mean, you and I hit it off via LinkedIn, I think, is how the introduction first happened, which I love. That's where social media really does work. And you get to meet some cool and innovative people that way to develop these new collections. As you said, we started to delve into consumer product probably around 3 years ago, doing collections for QVC. So I actually got to go on TV and sell my wares and kind of show and sell. And then now we're launching product under a new brand called Stacy Garcia Home. And so that's in calico stores around the country. So we have our textile line there. We have furniture, outdoor collections that are coming out, accessories, and keep your eye out for new peel and stick wallpaper.
Oh, I love that. That's a great product. Yeah. Awesome.
Very fun. I know it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, we've designed the renovation of a hotel, and literally there's wall covering everywhere, and we're needing to have that all removed and go in with some new wall covering, some of which is your product. So very excited for that.
Me too. Thank you. I know we love collaborating with you and being part of this collective.
Wonderful. So I wanted to ask what's important to you in your design and licensing processes, and I know that's a big question. So if you want to just maybe share a few things, what you've learned along the way, and right now what's important to you after having learned a lot of things.
Oh yeah, definitely. I joke I got my master's in the School of Hard Knocks. Because you just, as an entrepreneur, you're out in front of things, taking risk and moving forward, even if you don't have all the answers. Mm-hmm. So you're sort of constantly making your best estimate, kind of checking the wind and making your best guess as to how to move forward, and you learn a lot. And we certainly did in the world of licensing. And so for those of you watching who aren't familiar with the idea of licensing, it's really where you find partners to help you manufacture. This is at least in the product category. Obviously, it's different with technology licensing. But in essence, you're holding on to your intellectual property. So all of the designs and the creations, and whether it's patterns or industrial designs or patents that we might be coming up with, we hold ownership of that. And then we will partner with manufacturers or distributors to put those products out to market. And so we're looking, what we're looking for with those relationships. I'm going to quote Stephen Covey here and say, at this point, it's begin with the end in mind. So when we were first starting out, it's like, whoever was interested, you're willing to dance with when you're just trying to get your name out there. And that's tough because, there's not necessarily alignment. It's a little bit of desperation in the beginning. And so I think, as we've learned and evolved, we've discovered that being long-term investors is a better strategy than sort of going for a short-term, quick hit on things. And so we really try to approach these relationships with the end in mind. What's the end goal? What are we both hoping to have out of this? How long-term are we building this partnership? And what does success look like? And what I have found is when we build partnerships with companies that go over a long haul, you really are in it together, almost like a marriage, committed to figuring out how to get to success, right? When it's just, here's a one hit, okay, here's a couple of patterns or here's a couple designs, there's really no commitment. It's kind of like, going on a blind date and, hey, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I'm going to ask the next girl to the prom. Mm-hmm. So we've done much, much better with long-term partnerships. And I mean, some of our licensed deals, and you mentioned wall coverings, like York Wall Coverings is the oldest wall covering manufacturer in the United States. And they've been our partner for 14 years at this point. So which is almost unheard of in licensing. So licensing is typically a 3-year turn cycle. We have more that we have been with over a decade than not at this point.
Wow. And that is so incredible, but also, like you said, so important because that trust factor is there. And when the surprises and challenges come up, as they will,
Yes.
having that long-term partnership and trust in place, so important. So that's amazing that you've developed those kinds of relationships.
Yeah. And then, really aligning with companies that are committed to quality, and whether that means the quality of the design, so kind of really maintaining the design integrity, and the quality of the outgoing product, right? That we're not in this churn it to burn it. We really have settled into, we've got to be about, especially in commercial. And that's where I got my start. My roots are in hospitality, my roots are in commercial. And so you're designing things that, this is not disposable product. These are investment pieces, whether it's a wall vinyl or a carpet. Even if you're on a 7-year FF&E cycle, it's got to look good. It can't be degrading and wearing down. I mean, it's got to, really have what we call appearance retention in this business.
Yes. That's fantastic. So on that note, what do your partners and clients usually appreciate about working with you and your team?
Oh, that's a tough one. Listen, it's like then you have to toot your own horn here.
Right. Maybe things they've told you.
I know. I'll tell you, I think we approach things really from a collaborative standpoint. And so one of our first taglines in our design business was inspiration through collaboration. And I think I shared that with you on our first meeting. There's sort of this no egos rule in the company. There's no divas allowed. And it is a very collaborative environment. And I think that makes for a better product. When you bring the best of the manufacturers, you bring the best of the designers, and you riff off of each other, it really does create some excellent synergy to bring things out that are more innovative and, just different in the market.
Right. And what's that quote? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yes, that's right.
Collaboration piece, which we'll talk about in a minute about the collective. I know that was one of the first pieces we did connect on.
Yes.
Great. What sometimes surprises people about your work and in your world? What kind of behind the scenes, pulling the curtain back? What are some surprises? I think people always think the design industry is so glamorous. Right.
Right. I was going to say, I mean, literally, and in a COVID world, it's even less glamorous. It is, but it's funny. I think whenever, it's like me going to visit a new factory, right? Or even if it's an existing factory, but it's new to me, you're always surprised by the process. There's always something to learn. I think what we bring that's a little different is a lot of other licensed designers, especially in our industry, not necessarily on the consumer world, but even there too, they're sort of one-off people, right? Like, so it's an individual person who's sketching in their home or whatever, and then sending those designs along. I have a great team. So I think, that's always something that I've heard from our licensees, that they're impressed with the quality of the people we have on our team. And the fact that, we have, I call us small but mighty, but it's certainly not a one-woman show. And so I think that's part of the secret sauce. I would say also, just process driven. So we do a lot of research. We are very much involved in trend forecasting. I'm actually a chairholder of a group called Color Marketing Group, which is an international forecasting association. And we hold international summits every year. I was actually their keynote this year, which was wonderful. I've been a chairholder for many, many years. And you have hundreds of people who are involved in color decision making for their companies. Everything from colorants, pigmentation, to the product themselves, tile, carpet, laminate, all kinds of consumer and commercial products that come together, basically roundtable to share information. And we walk away from that with amazing insight, amazing forecasts, amazing drivers, not only for the United States, but internationally. And so that kind of training, that background that I immersed myself in early on has become part of what we use in our studio. So we're very much sort of taking Color Marketing Group information as a part of our research, taking Pantone's forecast, going out to international trade shows, digging into community. I mean, I'm still speaking weekly to interior designers or purchasing agents in hospitality, or retailers and consumers in the residential community, just engaging, making sure that we don't lose our edge and making sure that we can take this research back. And so the research we put in is pretty in depth, so that we really feel that we're coming out with forecasts for color and design and materials and trends that will hit the mark for whatever category we're designing for. And it's different if you're designing hotel than if you're designing a residence. And it's different if you're designing a carpet versus a lighting fixture.
Right.
But the process of research is similar. And so we're always looking kind of what is in that underlying, we call it a driver, what's driving those macro trends that will make people go, wow, that's exactly what I was looking for. Wow, that's really cool. It's, it's a little different, but that's what I don't know why I love it, but I do. And so there is kind of that subconscious research piece that goes into what I think sets our team apart. And then, when you come back again, that's part of our process. It's funny, we're just working on a paint collection right now. So I can't say with who, but we're excited because we're curating a paint collection for one of the large manufacturers. And going, it's not just about, okay, what colors are pretty and what are we going to put on the wall? It's about having a design narrative, even if it's just a color story. And so we're kind of digging in, and I pulled pieces from my travels and, pulled paints that, picked up this perfect color of silver patina from an antique teapot that I brought back from Morocco, or this perfect color of turquoise that I brought back from this hand-painted pottery from Mexico. And so there's this thread and a story that goes along. And I think one of the important things that we have to constantly remind ourselves of as creative people is to be tactile, because what we're designing for is not video games, right? We're not just designing for a VR experience. We're designing for an experience in the real world.
Right.
And so it's really important for us as part of our process to step away from the screen from time to time and actually touch and feel things and experience it, not through the lens of, this light filtered screen, and see how light reflects off of it, see how it feels in your hand, touch it and feel it and interact with it, because that is ultimately what's going to happen when people step into that property. They're going to be immersed physically in the real world, and they'll be experiencing all the sights and the textures around them. And so that's part of our process as well.
That's just fascinating. And to your earlier point about color, you're exactly right. A color will look different in a carpet than it will on an upholstery textile, than it will on a light fixture, different on a leather. I mean, all of those sorts of things. And so when we talk about color, I know that that's something we always like to educate our clients a little bit more. Like, okay, we do paint colors later. We start with flooring because of all the, big patterns and the repeats and all that sort of thing, just to start getting the sense of the space. Like right now, our whole studio is covered with samples because we're designing multiple projects. And you're right, we have to have them in our hands. We have to lay them out together, put them in, vertically or horizontally, different times a day, and all of that. And I think that that's one thing that surprises clients sometimes, is how involved and detailed the design process is. And from concept to installation, there's a lot in between there. And it's not just picking colors.
No, and there's 1,001, if not 1,000,001 decisions that have to be made along those processes. And so it's why clients do go to professionals, whether it's a residential home or obviously a major corporation or a major hotel project, because everything from the pull on the drawer to the type of grout, what grout are you using? I mean, every single one of these things is a decision that impacts the aesthetic of the space. And when it's done harmoniously, you don't even notice it. When it's done well, you're just immersed and you're there to have your experience and you're taking in different wow moments, but it feels inevitable. Versus, it's something wrong or something's off or it just doesn't feel quite right. And so I think that is the beauty of design. And the people like you and your team and the people that you're building in your collective, all of this pool of talent and the synergy that comes together, I think is just really exciting to be part of.
Yeah, thank you. So, and we're excited to have you. So, on that note, what appeals to you about the collective and our collaborative approach?
I mean, you spoke my language, right? It's like you had me at collaboration.
Mhm.
It's really the way we've built our business. We sell product through, again, lots of manufacturers from floor to ceiling and some of the big names. And the way we go to market is typically I'm not, front and center selling. We have teams of salespeople who cover different regions of the country for various product categories. And so I'm really there in support. But it's been wonderful because over the years, and like I said, I mean, I started my first business 22 years ago. Over the years, I have met people and collected friends that are, not just customers. They are truly people who I consider my friends at this point and my family at this point. And, where you're invited to weddings and you welcome children and you just feel part of people's lives. So it's nice because that's always how we've built our company, is to say, hey, how can we collaborate with you? How can we help you bring your vision to reality? And we've had lots of talented people take us up on that over the years. But what's interesting about what you're doing with the collective and why we're excited to be part of it is you're really putting all of this talent under one roof. And almost, like I said about our team, there's sort of no divas allowed. I
Mhm.
love that you're bringing this group of creative people who just want to be part of something bigger, who want to do something cool together. And so when you start to bring not just interior design talent or purchasing talent, but all sorts of other trades, from the construction piece, to the product piece, a material specialty, lighting design, you're bringing all of these. We talked about even landscape architecture, to
Mhm.
really be able to conceive start to finish a massive project with all this talent on the bench. It's exciting for us. I mean, we learn, we're challenged, and I always feel like when you're with company that's really on their A game, it pushes you to be even better.
Yeah, exactly. And on our pre-call, you mentioned that I'm a 1 + 1 = 10 kind of girl, and that's exactly
Yes.
it, right? It's the integrated design approach, the collaborative approach. Those are when the best projects and the best results happen. And those relationships, like you mentioned also, is so important. So when we have worked with architects, engineers, different, structural, civil, electrical, mechanical over the years, we're like, hey, they know what they're doing. And
Right.
we really like their innovative approach, as opposed to, maybe some are just checking the boxes, just, drawing the same lighting plan or whatever. So that's what really stood out to me after, almost 30 years in the industry, is how can I bring together this pool of talented individuals, respective in their fields, above and beyond what they're doing in their businesses and in their companies. Who knows, maybe one day this will be our primary vehicle to deliver hospitality projects across the world in a truly integrated fashion and enjoyable, right? There's
Amen. I
so
love
many
it.
gaps. Get on my soapbox right now, but there's so many gaps, right, in the process, and even just in purchasing, with all of the sampling and the dialots and the CFAs and the pattern, which way they run. I mean, again, all of that. So we speak everyone's language. And
Right.
that's really exciting to me as an entrepreneur, and being able to pull people together and give them the opportunity to do the kind of work that they excel at. So we're so excited to have you as part of the collective.
Thank you. Well, I am honored to be part of it. And again, just excited even about the projects that we're working on now. It's when you have those specialists that can help, and you're tapping in, not just necessarily through your sales rep, but really direct to studio. And you can have those conversations with the designers who came up with the idea in the first place, and, have access to all the insight on, how you can customize it, how you can use it. Like you said, do you railroad it? What, just feeding us the ideas, we can turn it around and really curate for you and provide you more inspiration and, a more honed in look. See, and when you, like you said, when you bring those teams together, ultimately they save the customer time.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not trying to figure out every piece, and you've instead built this stable of experts in their channels, you're ultimately, getting to where you want to go faster.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, it's fantastic. So on that note, not just with the collective, but what are you looking forward to in 2021 in your professional life?
Oh gosh, I was just actually texting with a girlfriend of mine who lives down in Florida. So I guess it was probably 2 years ago, at this point, because we've been holed up for almost a year, that I was at a conference down in Florida, and I called her up and said, okay, girl, maybe for lunch, and she came to the hotel, and she used to be a New Yorker who's now a transplant. And she said, are you dying to travel? Do you miss it? I was on a plane 3 weeks a month. I mean, really, like 3 weeks a month, I was going somewhere. And, whether it was to a factory or to a client or to a job site, it was, or to, for fun, I mean, we love to travel with our kids and my husband. And, it's in my blood. So I've really missed that. And I am hopeful that by the second half of this year, I can start getting more travel booked. So that's really something I'm looking forward to. And really, for us, it's been an interesting time I've had more time because I'm not spending it on an airplane. And so there are definitely meetings where maybe I would have flown down in person that we've been doing like this. And with the time savings, I'm going to call it that, we joke. I mean, you and I are teleporting in right now. And so I feel like I'm doing this time travel, these teleportation meetings, right? Where I'm like, okay, I've got a meeting with somebody in California, and then boop, boop, now I'm in Connecticut. Oh, now we have people. I mean, yesterday we did an all hands meeting with Brinton's, who's one of our longstanding partners on Axminster wool carpet. And we had their members from Asia, from Australia, from Europe, and of course from the States. And, it's amazing to be able to really transcend the time zones and meet with so many people at once. So that's been fabulous. But it's given us this opportunity too, to sort of take pause and really get clear on where we want to go with or without COVID. What are our goals? Who do we want to be working with? What are the values that we bring to the table? How do we do things different than we've been doing them? And sometimes when you're moving so fast, you don't have time to assess. And so it's really been, for me, I'm looking forward to this year of getting back to the basics, really just meeting with people, coming up with great collaborations like we're doing, working on some fun projects that I am not only looking forward to, but we're already starting to get thumbs up from people who projects that went on hold last year are now coming off hold. So I'm so excited to, chopping at the bit to, get our creative juices flowing on those again. And then we're working on some really exciting things on the retail end too. So we actually just launched a shop online under shopstacygarcia.com. And
fabulous products, by the way, fabulous products.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's also, it's been a lot of fun, a lot to learn. And it's a combination. It's curated product from some of our favorite vendors and factories. And then some of it is also Stacy Garcia home brand. So, some of it is under our brand. And so obviously we're reselling our own product, but really wanted to curate. We have some one-of-a-kind pieces, some things I brought home for my travels. And then, some things that are more handmade. So we're doing some great, beautiful alpaca throws and blankets. And so that's been really fun to see, where that ends up. And the fun thing is the girlfriend who I was telling you about in Florida, she said to me, hey, how's this shop going? Tell me about it. I want to know all about it. And I said, oh, great. I figured she was on my mailing list or something, and she goes, no, I have a designer friend in Florida who sent me a bench from your site to recommend to me for my home. And when I clicked into this link, she was like, oh my gosh, that's Stacy.
Oh, that is so great. I love that. Yeah. So, again, just offering it, through different channels and people discovering it too, right?
It is. And I see more overlap. I'm really seeing our worlds collide. And it's interesting, and I'm sure you're seeing it too, where for a while people were calling it like residential. Like people wanted to design their hotels to look more like a home. They wanted it to be more comfortable. Now, because of COVID, we're going to have hospital quality protocols in our hotels. So now you have this kind of triple overlap, this triple threat that we're also needing to incorporate into residential design. And we're going to have to be creative about how we approach the consumer, right? From who is your customer standpoint, whether you're a retailer or a hotel or a restaurant. It's all about the experience. People understand today they don't have to leave their home. They can DoorDash their food in. They've set up their home yoga room. They've set up their patio space for indoor outdoor living. We all kind of hunkered down and got really comfortable. We shop on Amazon, for our essentials. I can do Instacart for my food. Like, the apps are endless and you don't have to leave, right? Like, you have to feed yourself, but ultimately you don't have to leave your home. And Netflix has done a great job in answering, our entertainment question, right? And gaming consoles were like the thing. So in order to grab our attention as consumers, hotels and restaurants and retail, and it's going to have to be a transformative experience, right? You're going to have to lead with experience for whatever it is. And I think soft brands understood that, right? I mean, the independents and the boutiques knew that, already. That was kind of part of their DNA. But as, the larger brands started to launch kind of their soft brand model and get it on the game, they started to understand that you had to have these moments. It had to be something that was more of an experience, from the food and beverage to the lobby, to the amenities that you were offering. It's going to be on hyper speed. And so I think there's opportunity too, whether it's in the gift shop or creating something that is truly a lifestyle experience where the guests can kind of go through and shop the room. I'm excited and I'm looking forward not only 2021, but really beyond, in working with some of our partners and helping them to lead the charge in how to win the consumer's heart and mind and ultimately wallet in the future.
Yep, that's fantastic. So much opportunity out there, right? And I love your start with the end in mind. I think that I was the same way starting my business. It's like, all right, just jump in the deep end and here we go. But now really what is, and I don't want to say end game, because it's not like it's going to stop, but it's like, what is that, starting with the end, whatever that looks like at any point in time. So I just encourage all those entrepreneurs, business owners out there, really think about that, and look at a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. And really, it's great to have those benchmarks, I think, and those timeframes established, because it helps keep us accountable, because, we can get busy spinning on a lot of different things, which is good, but it's good to have those milestones, I think.
Oh, for sure. And I can't take credit for any of that. So for those of you, if you're a new entrepreneur starting out, or, anyone in the world of business, if you haven't read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that is always on the top of my reading list recommendations. And that's where that one comes from.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
I'm usually reading about 5 different books, audio and regular at any given time. So I agree. There's so much information out there, and then it's exciting to actually implement it and see it work.
For sure. What are you reading now? You got any recommendations?
Oh gosh, I am listening to Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. And that's exactly what we were just talking about. Like, not just your next move, but what are your next 5 moves?
Yeah.
He also has this worksheet called Solve for X. And he really encourages us to be able to process issues well and quickly. Right. So don't just let things simmer and just kind of ignore them. No, just process them, and even the hard things, and, get through it more quickly, and you get on to the next better thing. So I highly recommend that one.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, you betcha. Well, I think that's going to wrap up today. We've been talking for quite a while, Stacy, and I so appreciate you joining me. And again, please go to our website, which is at thecornerstonecollective.net. Go to our Collective Associates page, and you'll see all of our current associates. We're going to be adding more. And you can click onto Stacy's profile, and you can read more about her and just her amazing, amazing work, her products, her company. And I'm just so excited for what you're continuing to build. You've already built so much, Stacy, and it's really, truly an inspiration. Love your team, love the responsiveness, and love that we can reach out and trust that, hey, we're looking for a fabric that kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
And getting samples quickly, and they're usually just right on the money. So we so appreciate that.
Thank
and
you.
again, that's part of the magic, right, that we're building.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the interview and the time, Suzie. And I'm so excited to be part of the collective.
Thank you again, Stacy Garcia. And thank you all for watching. And remember, collectively, we're stronger. Have a great day.